Thank you for waiting, everyone. Now, we'd like to begin with the organizers' greetings and a keynote speech. First of all, we will have a greetings from the organizer by Dr. Yamanaka Takeharu, Mayor of the City of Yokohama.
Deputy Minister Yokota, Director General Carrasco, Global Director Waber, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending the 10th Asia Smart City Conference. On behalf of the citizens of Yokohama, I'd like to extend my sincerest welcome. I'd also like to express my gratitude to our co-organizers, the Asian Development Bank Institute and the World Bank Tokyo Development Learning Centers, as well as the Government of Japan, CityNet, IGES, JICA, Smart City Institute Japan, and Yokohama City University, whose support has made this event possible. Since 2012, the City of Yokohama has hosted the Asia Smart City Conference with the goal of achieving sustainable development for smart cities in Asia. This year marks the 10th anniversary we have been able to hold the conference. The scale of the conference has grown each year. Last year, the conference was held online for the first time and had a record 2,900 participants from over 40 countries and regions. The theme of this 10th anniversary conference is building smart cities aiming for carbon neutrality through city-to-city collaboration under the influence of COVID-19. Currently, cities are home to 50% of the world population and make up 80% of the global GDP. It is estimated that 75% of greenhouse gas emissions come from urban areas, making it even more crucial that cities play a major role in the decarbonization and achieving the SDGs. We have invited over 60 key experts from diverse fields to speak at today's conference. The speakers will share best practice to achieve sustainable smart cities, including carbon neutrality. As part of the conference, we will also hold a VLR session for the first time. Key cities around the world conduct VLRs, or voluntary local reviews, to assess the progress of the initiative to implement the SDGs. The City of Yokohama will present our own VLR to the conference. The use of VR technology to hold a virtual exhibition is a new challenge for us. I hope that everyone took advantage of this space for networking and will use, if not done so. In Japan, many local governments made 2050 zero carbon declarations ahead of the national government, and we believe that this action pushed the national government to make its own declaration. Yokohama was one of the first cities in Japan to make a zero carbon declaration. Building a decarbonized society will inspire innovation and create new business opportunities. Yokohama will further accelerate its decarbonization effort as a new growth strategy looking ahead to post-corona society and contribute to the sustainable development of Japan and the world. As a mayor of a city that is home to 3.78 million people, and as a leader for zero carbon cities in Japan, I will further strengthen cooperation with international organizations as well as global cities, and dedicate my efforts to contribute the fulfillment of the SDGs in Japan and around the world. As the pandemic presents new challenges and decarbonization and digitalization progress, now is the time for us to advance the development of smart cities. The city of Yokohama will continue to collaborate with the cities and businesses here today through initiatives such as the Y-Pod project. Let us combine our strengths to confront global issues together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Yamanaka. Next, we will have a keynote speech by Mr. Yokota Masafumi, Deputy Minister for International Projects, Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism, Government of Japan. Mr. Yokota, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to 10th Asia Smart City Conference. I am Masafumi Yokota, Deputy Minister for International Projects at Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism, Japan. I'd like to express my respects and congratulations to the city of Yokohama for hosting this conference since 2012, for building relationships with Asian cities, and for hosting today's conference. A city is a place where many people live and a lot of energy is consumed. More than half of the world's population lives in cities, from where around 3/4 of all carbon dioxide emissions are derived. The recent global trend is to aim to achieve net zero emissions. Therefore, all cities are required to be decarbonized. In addition, in order to maintain our economic and social activities, all cities need to be resilient against natural disasters that occur frequently due to climate change. Japan is aiming to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050 and has also adopted a strategy of net zero emissions when promoting infrastructure developments overseas. In order to achieve this goal, it is inevitable to realize decarbonized cities in Japan and abroad. Japanese cities have had less negative impact on the environment. More than 300 years ago, Tokyo was one of the most advanced cities in the world in adopting the concept of recycling, where people took good care of their commodities for a long time and even reused and recycled their waste. Since the end of World War II, Japan has achieved economic growth through efficient infrastructure development based on national plans in order to make effective use of its small land area. In this process, Japan has solved urban problems at many stages of growth, such as pollution during the period of rapid economic growth and traffic congestion during the period of stable growth. For example, in Yokohama City, you will see transit-oriented urban development along the Tokyu railways and the Minato-Mura area with district heating and cooling for efficient energy use. As a result, Japanese cities still have less negative environmental impact today. More than 30 million people live in the Tokyo metropolitan area. Nevertheless, carbon dioxide emissions per capita are much lower than those of New York, Paris, and London. Small city is the advanced solution to environmental problems. Japan is able to provide solutions which contribute to the efficient use of energy. You will find good examples in Fujisawa City or Otemachi Marunouchi Yurakucho area, where energy is produced locally and used efficiently in houses and office buildings. These technologies can be used in urban development. Japan is implementing supportive measures for Asean cities called Smart Jump. We are conducting studies for projects which will reduce the impact on the environment. For example, in the Philippines, we are conducting a study on biomass power generation, which provides a stable supply of highly efficient and clean energy. Also in Cambodia, we are conducting a study on the use of solar power and energy efficient glasses to create energy efficient houses. We hope that these studies will lead to concrete projects and that Japanese advanced technology will be spread to many countries. Last week, we held the third ASEAN-Japan Smart Cities Network high-level meeting. ASEAN cities showed a strong interest in reducing the impact on the environment by reducing traffic congestion or promoting the use of public transport. I have just mentioned some Japanese excellent technologies. However, in order to operate an eco-friendly city, it is important to adopt technologies and develop infrastructures that match the local way of life. It is also essential to involve various participants in order to create smart cities. We would like to work with central and local governments and other participants to realize your vision. I will close my speech here by expressing my hope for smart city development in Asia and all over the world. Thank you.
Very much, Mr. Yokota. Next, we will have a greeting from co-organizer by Mr. Bruno Carasuco, Director General, Sustainable Development and Climate Change Department, Asian Development Bank. Mr. Carasuco, please.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good day. On behalf of the Asian Development Bank, it is a privilege to join this event with such eminent speakers. This is the second Asian Smart City Conference, or ASCC, to be held virtually. And I look forward to the day when we will again have the opportunity to gather in Yokohama. This city, can help set a reference to cities across our developing member countries in Asia and the Pacific to become similarly smart and livable. At ADB, we value our strong partnership with Japan and with our host city through the Yokohama Partnership of Resources and Technologies, as well as the Yokohama Urban Solutions Alliance. Knowledge, innovation, and partnerships are the key factors that we feel we need to invest in to become a truly knowledge bank for the region. We highly appreciate the city's support to our technical assistance program on smart cities development. And now we are developing further ties on solid waste management and the circular economy. Both ADB and the ADB Institute have been partners with the ASCC for several years. We believe this event is a great opportunity to build the capacity of our members to make cities more livable using smart approaches to urban programming. I'm also pleased that ADB and ADBI are co-hosting a thematic session on integrated approaches to low carbon and resilient cities development, due to follow on this session. I would like to leave you with 3 messages. First, COVID-19 has led to a recognition that we will have to adapt to a new and potentially profound challenge to the way we live. We have asked ourselves if our pre-COVID-19 norm will indeed be the new norm that we will continue to face over the medium term. Policymakers have embarked on a journey to revisit strategies and practices and think hard about how to build back better. We at ADB have also actively sought to meet this challenge. ADB's COVID-19 and Livable Cities Guidance Note is one example of how we analyze closely this challenge. In this note, we highlight 6 new norms, and 2 in particular are relevant to today's theme. The first one, the focus on healthy and environmentally sustainable cities, and the second one, to build resilient cities, enabling them to absorb shocks and stresses due to pandemics, disasters, and climate change. To this end, we have further developed a technical note on accelerating climate and disaster resilience and low carbon development through the COVID-19 recovery. This technical note provides pathways and an initial assessment framework to assist developing countries in Asia and the Pacific in evaluating interventions for a low carbon climate and disaster resilient recovery. Second, we believe that a low carbon resilient pathway does not necessarily lead to a trade-off between inclusive and resilient growth in climate and environmental initiatives. Decision makers can use the framework, tailor it to reflect specific circumstances and recovery objectives, and select and prioritize a package of interventions. We hope that this framework will help cities to promote climate resilience through their medium-term recovery and longer-term transformational efforts. Of course, we cannot underestimate the need to speed up digital integration. This brings me to the third message, and that is that greater use of digital technologies can promote decarbonization and increase resilience, while also supporting recovery. To achieve this, countries and cities need first to facilitate the enabling environment, especially on policy and regulatory reforms. I am a firm believer in the transformational potential of policy-based operations, and doing so effectively will help introduce and strengthen incentives for a multitude of new climate-smart solutions, such as smart battery, carbon capture, among many others. Effective policy-based operations will help reduce distortions in the economy and incentivize the private sector to participate in this low carbon trajectory, especially in mobilizing private sector finance, such as in public-private partnerships. The private sector can also help to develop innovative and green financial products, such as green or climate bonds, as well as tailored smart solutions to better meet cities' needs. In closing, let me stress that creating smart cities is not just about introducing technology-based solutions. Ultimately, building smart cities is about creating livable cities by putting all people at the heart of our interventions. It is about connecting people with infrastructure, services, resources, and information. It is also about giving them the chance to enjoy a safe and healthy living in green, inclusive, and sustainable communities. I hope this year's conference will once again be inspiring, productive, and insightful. May the event stoke your creative imaginations in developing and delivering our actions towards smart, sustainable, and low carbon growth. Thank you very much, and I wish you all well and safe. Enjoy the conference.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karasuko. We will have a greeting from co-organizer by Mr. Samuel Webb, Global Director of Urban Disaster Risk Management, Resilience and Global Practice, World Bank.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Samah Wahba. I'm the Global Director for Urban Disaster Risk Management, Resilience and Land Global Practice at the World Bank, and it's my pleasure to be back amongst you for the Asia Smart City Conference, joined by Dr. Yamanaka Takeharu, the Mayor of Yokohama City, Mr. Yokota Masafumi, the Deputy Minister for International Projects from the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism, Mr. Bruno Carrasco, the Director General of Sustainable Development and Climate Change from the Asian Development Bank, as well as with representatives from all over the world. First of all, my congratulations to the organizers of the Asia Smart City Conference for holding this successful event for the 10th year running. Not to mention making this event twice in a row in virtual format. Despite the prolonged struggle with the pandemic, I'm delighted to see that we continue to hold these important discussions on achieving sustainable urban development and the role of smart cities in the progress. This year's theme on building smart cities aimed for carbon neutrality through city-to-city collaboration is really timely, as both the Asian Smart Cities Conference and the world look to the next decade and the changes that the future holds for us. Last year, Japan set a new milestone by pledging to become carbon neutral by 2050. And building upon this global momentum, cities of both developed and developing countries will need to embark on this transition towards carbon neutrality with a renewed drive. Now, it has been almost 2 years now that the world has been dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. And while COVID-19 has brought upon us great disruptions to our way of lives and a degree of isolation, it has also been an unusual catalyst for deepening our connections with families, neighbors, and local communities. And this sense of connection is clear in our common aspiration as we emerge from the pandemic, where we all want our cities to be greener, healthier, more inclusive, more livable, and more resilient. But our hopes are increasingly dashed by the impacts of climate change and the increasing frequency and severity of disasters we are facing. This summer alone, we've seen these impacts across diverse regions and cities, whether it's devastating floods, severe heat waves, extended droughts, or raging wildfires. Now, the latest report for the UNIPCC, the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, shows urban areas across the world are facing more severe weather patterns. Many parts of the world are increasingly experiencing the hottest temperature or recording the highest single-day rainfalls. And the report highlights that cities would continue to feel these climate change impacts more acutely. Now, we must heed to these warning signs together as a global community. We need to mend our relationship with the environment by changing our habits and creatively leveraging green technologies to promote low-carbon city development. And we need to reconnect with nature. Now, the challenge of mitigating climate change is immense while urban growth continues, and especially in South Asia and Africa, where 90% of the world's urbanization in the coming 20 to 30 years is going to happen. But increasing urban density also signals growing opportunities for urban stakeholders to come together in cutting emissions and in improving the quality of life for all. Close collaboration amongst national governments, international organizations, the private sector, and civil society will set the foundations to plan, design, and finance for sustainable long-term urban development. Now, the World Bank's Tokyo Development Learning Center, TDLC, supports cities around the world in their endeavors to address urban challenges, including mitigating the impacts of climate change. It serves as a one-stop knowledge hub that links Japanese and global good expertise and good practices on urban development and helps operationalize this knowledge for maximum development impact. TDLC allows World Bank-client countries to leverage urban knowledge in improving project design and outcomes. TDLC works with Japanese cities, with the private sector, with academia, and other urban practitioners in leading joint research efforts, knowledge exchange events, and other project-level engagements. In fact, in the last 5 years, TDLC has influenced nearly $70 billion worth of lending commitments provided by the World Bank in operations in more than 80 countries. And the foundation of TDLC is the City Partnership Program, with 6 Japanese cities that are currently part of the program, including Yokohama City, our host today. We strongly believe that the program like TDLC can serve as a vehicle of knowledge exchange to help learn, absorb, and apply the best solutions in combating climate change and tackling other pressing challenges facing urban development. So I look forward to new insights and to the continued discussion around this important agenda in today's conference. And I'm confident that we can come together and explore solutions to build a more sustainable post-COVID world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wab. We will now be preparing the next stage. The next session will start in 10 minutes. Today, 2 sessions will be held simultaneously on 2 channels. Here's the next program. Channel 1 is Thematic Session 5, Integrated Approaches for Low Carbon and Resilient Cities. And Channel 2 is Thematic Session 6, New Urban Development from Yokohama. Please go to the channel you wish to join. You can switch between channels using the button at the top of the screen. And we have a good news. For the virtual exhibition, which has limited to pre-registered people, in response to many inquiries, we have decided to open up the space for all the participants in ASCC. Please enter from the upper bottom virtual exhibition in green. The 6-digit passcode that is required to enter the virtual room is already shared in the email circulated from the ASCC Secretariat earlier today.